So I'm so happy to see you.
Happy to be seen.
Setting up here to move into, there we go. Okay, and then I'm going to resume the recording. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Reverend Tammy Patzer, and we are live in the Hive. And it's an interesting thing because Be Connected has this wonderful Zoom opportunity for people who are members of Be Connected. And it's literally that you can get the enterprise level of this wonderful webinar service at only $12.99 a month when you're part of Be Connected. And so that was one of the reasons why I decided to become a Be Connected member. And then, of course, I also love the opportunity to be one of the very first live shows in Be Connected. And I've been doing expert profiles for quite a while, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to introduce people that I know from my adventures. And I actually met Joe, I believe it was out in San Diego. And over it's years now. I think I've interviewed you maybe once before, or I know we've had conversations. But Joe DiChiara, and I may have pronounced your name wrong.
Oh, no, you botched it. You
Okay.
botched it. That's okay. Most people start out by saying, how do I pronounce your name?
Yeah, well,
And I say, it's Joe. It's Joe.
okay.
Joe
But,
DiChiara. DiChiara. You could say it any way you want.
okay. So as you can probably tell, I'm not Italian. So,
It's DiChiara in Italian.
that's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
So Joe, you have created Bedrock Builders.
Business builders, Bedrock business builders.
And
Let's go. Let's get that straight because there's a lot of Bedrock construction companies out there. I don't build buildings.
you actually help people build their businesses
Yeah.
with solid foundations. And you actually are a certified public accountant, CPA, right?
I'm an entrepreneur that happens to have a CPA license.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the conversation because I want people to really get to know who you are and how you can help them. So tell me more about how you ended up becoming a CPA and how that transferred into becoming an entrepreneur.
That's easy. When I was 10 years old, I ran a casino on my driveway, which was the result of us in the neighborhood, a bunch of 10, 11, 12-year-old kids put on a carnival for muscular dystrophy. And we made about $100, which was amazing. That was 1970. And my friend's father owned a trucking company, and he matched the $100. And somehow in my mind, I got, well, fast forward a week later, I did the casino on my driveway, made like $4, but it was fun. And $4 for a 10-year-old in 1970 was like, oh my God, I was on the top of the world. And I remember saying, well, if my friend's father had a business and he had all that money, I was saying, why do people work? What, you can make money having fun. So I was born to be an entrepreneur. That's what I believe. When I was 17, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. Well, not wrong. I mean, there were kids I grew up with, but we started getting into trouble. My father saw the path I was heading on, and we were at a family picnic. And he points to this guy. He was like a distant cousin, and he said, "That guy's a CPA." It's like, wow. What is a CPA? So he says, well, they run businesses, and people that own businesses go to them for advice. So I'll never forget, it was July 1977. And I said, I'm going to be a CPA then. I didn't know that meant I was going to be an accountant. I didn't know that that meant I was going to be doing tax returns. I just saw it as a gateway to being an entrepreneur and owning, multiple businesses and becoming a billionaire. And
So you,
lo and behold, for 25 years, I resented my father. I said, why did you do this to me? Until about 10 years ago, when I started learning about what real success is. And I took my head out of my books and uh, I started being an entrepreneur instead of an accountant, if that makes sense.
it does make sense because most people, uh, again, for me, I actually have an, so thank goodness, because without that person being someone who actually loves numbers and putting them into all the little boxes and the spreadsheets and whatever an accountant does, thank God I have one. But tell me, so you decided that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, and here you are today using all of that book learning that and that knowledge that you gained. So who is it that you work with now?
So about 2 years ago, I had been a CPA, fairly successful. I didn't work that much. I had a system. I had large clients that paid me well. So I got to travel. I got to, spend time the way I wanted to, but never really got rich. I could have, but I was more interested in life and learning, if that makes sense. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week just to make money. About 2 years ago, I realized, I said, I'm still a corporate accountant. I'm working with the same people that I'm helping rich white men get richer, if that makes sense. I said, I'm not going to change the world that way. So I started doing some research through a friend of ours, John Limbacher.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got this ACT program and it required doing a lot of research. And I had to figure out who was my ideal client, who did I like to work with, and more importantly, where did I get the most bang for my buck? You want to work with people you like, but we're in business, and that means, we want to make money. And it's easier to make money when you enjoy what you're doing. So my ideal client actually turned out to be a woman that had a tiny business. She never bothered me. She always followed directions. She was like off the charts because she was never a problem, and I didn't realize that. So I started working primarily with brand new women business owners, and it's been probably one of the best decisions I ever made.
I think that that would be a really good decision because I know as a woman business owner, we are often people who realize we need expert help. And when we find that expert help, we will follow directions, just like you said, we'll trust you, and we're not troublesome. Most women business owners, what they really want to do is do their business, and they want to delegate the things they're not good at to somebody who they can trust. So that's really good. And it's interesting that you mentioned John, because he's also a member of Be Connected, and his course that you mentioned, the ACT course, is part of a higher level benefit in Be Connected. So that is very interesting. So your ideal client are women business owners. So where are these women located?
All over the country. We have clients from Alaska to Florida, North Carolina, all over, and it's just growing. We're getting referrals. I'm blessed that I have a great team behind me. One thing about business that I learned is you can't do everything. Nobody knows everything. So they've actually confined me to, little by little, they stripped away my responsibilities, which I was more than willing to do. because that's the only way you can really be successful. If you look at any successful business, there's usually a woman behind there somewhere. Okay, you don't know it, but they're there. You can look at all the presidents, big companies. There's usually a strong woman behind them, and I'm leveraging that power right now.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you because I am obviously a very strong advocate for women also. So tell me a little bit more about exactly how you help your clients.
Well, we go back right to the basics. Okay, you can't run a business unless you know your numbers. You got to be on top of them, and that starts with simple bookkeeping. So, another thing that we realize, a lot of new business owners don't hire CPAs because we're too expensive. So we came up with a $47 a month startup package, which includes doing their bookkeeping and all of their tax compliance. So they get me as a go-to person whenever there's a tax question, and we keep their books up to date. And the way we do that is by utilizing technology, having systems in place, and it works. It's working unbelievably well.
Well, that is the beautiful thing about bookkeeping and what you do, is because I think I've watched some of your training programs, and you're very open with providing people with good tools to use and all of the little things. I guess some people would call them hacks, where you can use different apps and everything to help you to transfer information so that your bookkeeping is up to date and
Yeah.
everything. You spend a lot of time on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, we try to take what we try to do. So we're like the admin part. There's three parts of every business. There's sales and marketing, there's operations, and then there's admin. Nobody wants to be bothered with admin. So we literally take all of that away from them. We're keeping their books and records. But beyond that, once we have their bookkeeping, now we could start helping them find the money. I just started my own group in Be Connected, and it's called Finding You the Money, because that's what we love to do. I could look at your P&L and we can always find inefficiencies, stuff that you're buying that you didn't know you were buying. But then beyond that, we want to help people do things like get grants, become SBA certified. We really think outside the box. We're not just a CPA firm. We try to be partners with our clients. We want them to be successful.
Wow. What's the name of your Be Connected group again?
Now I forgot. Finding You the Money.
Finding I want to become a member of that, because
we have to connect. Well, I was looking, I'm like, we're not even connected on Be Connected yet, but we'll connect. And I want to do what you're doing right now.
I'm actually a very new Be Connected person, but like I said, when I saw the opportunity to be in the beta of having my own show, that was the first thing I did. I skipped everything else and I jumped into creating a show, because I have podcasts outside of Be Connected and everything. But the group, when you mentioned that about becoming SBA certified, do you also help with the women becoming the women business certified?
Yeah, that's what you can be women minority business certified. The company has to be at least 51% owned by a woman, and there's all kinds of programs. Not only that, we're helping people find and get grants. So a business can get a grant, but it's a lot easier as a not-for-profit. So
Right.
what we're finding is we can actually create what I call a hybrid business model. Okay, so I could give you an example that's pretty simple. I have a client that is programming. I'm sorry.
Tell us more about that. Thank you.
Yeah. So she has a business where she programs robots. to help, all kinds of people, let's say kids on the spectrum. So the robot costs like 12 grand. The software is what she does. She doesn't build the robots. She doesn't sell them. So we're going to set up a not-for-profit for her just to get grants to buy the robots for people that can't afford them. So now so people that couldn't afford to use her, now they're going to get the robot, and all they're going to do is pay her for the software. And there's a lot of opportunities out there for people like that.
Wow, that's phenomenal, because I think there are a lot of people who they need that extra brain power, that brainstorming situation with someone who has that expertise, like what you're saying, that, hey, we can actually help you if you need to become a nonprofit. Let's explore that. Let's get you SBA certified. Maybe, again, you're a women or minority owned business, because there's a lot of steps in this. I would qualify as a women owned business, but
I
I
hope
think
so.
stuck I always seem to get stuck at a certain place just because of lack of time, lack of knowledge about, like, how do I answer that question? Because sometimes the questions, the way they're presented, depending on how you think, you could actually answer that question in the wrong way.
Yeah, and disqualify yourself.
I have a question, since so many people qualified for the PPP loans and then also for the SBA small business loans. Right now, the PPP loans, it's time to actually request that forgiveness. Do you have any suggestions for people who are trying to deal with any of those, or is that something that you and your team talk about?
We haven't really talked about that yet. It hasn't really come up. I do have clients that qualified. What I understand is the SBA, and it's a moving target. They came up with some kind of streamlined method to help people qualify to be forgiven. They expanded the types of expenses that can be included. So I don't think it's going to be a real issue. I think it was set up to help people not have to pay it back. If you got the loan and went out and put a down payment on a house, that's a problem.
Right.
Let me just add, I like what you said about, we also do a mastermind. That's part of our program. People that are in, and you don't even have to be in the program, but the power of the mastermind. You're tapping into other people's talent and experience. And that's another thing that we do for our clients and just business owners in general.
Well, that's really good. And the fact that you are an active member of the Be Connected community with the group and everything, I mean, I think everybody needs to use the power of Be Connected to connect with you so that they can have a real conversation with you, and you can, take a little bit of time to get to know each other and everything. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the future of business, because we're coming out of the COVID, let's call it a year and a half of the COVID era, and
Right.
things are coming back. You, in the next 5 or 10 years, what are you seeing in from your perspective that's going to be happening for business or women-owned businesses?
Well, I agree with John Limbacher. I actually had him on one of my workshops and I asked him the same exact question. And he said it's going to be awesome. It
Okay.
is going to be unbelievable. There's going to be more opportunities for people than ever before. One of the good things that happened through COVID is that people got connected. Like I connected with more people this last year than all of the years of networking that I did. I used to fly out to California, like once every 2 months, just to meet people that were outside of my zone. Now I have clients, I have friends. I mean, I have real friends that I never even met. That's the one side of the coin. The other side, unfortunately, is that the IRS is going to be hiring another 87,000 people. They're going to more than double their workforce for the sole intention of trying to get unpaid taxes. And the sad part about that is they target sole proprietors, which is why when I was doing the research with John Limbacher, I came across this number of 25 million sole proprietors. There's only 30 million businesses in the United States. 25 million are doing business under the worst classification that they can be doing business under. So I'm on a mission to educate those 25 million sole proprietors about a better way to do business, how to structure your business to save a massive amount of taxes and actually employ a lot of the strategies that the wealthy people employ.
Well, that's what people really need to know is how do you structure your business? And I think I'm that I'm an LLC S corporation and single member LLC, whatever that means when you're that.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? Because that's like one of the biggest problems. When LLCs came into play, they weren't created for small operating businesses. They were created for passive activities like oil drilling and all of that stuff that wealthy people do. So for some reason, everybody's going out and creating LLCs. An LLC comes with no tax benefits at all. So you did the right thing. You converted your LLC into an S Corp.
Yes, thanks to
Okay.
my CPA.
Good. So you got a good CPA. Believe it or not, a lot of CPAs don't even convert. They let people stay as sole proprietors. And that's, I don't understand that. And, because sole proprietors get audited more, they got to pay 100 FICA tax on their net profits. They have no leeway as far as taxes go. When you're an S Corp, that's where you start saving money. That's where you can start doing the stuff that wealthy people do. When you start making a lot of money, now you can get into opening up LLCs, other entities. And that's how people, well, I don't want to name any names, but they just did an article in one of these things. I forget the name, Propecia or something like that. But they identified the 25 wealthiest individuals in the United States, people like George Soros. There were years where they paid zero taxes, but their net worth went up by $100 billion. And I know how they do that. I know exactly how they do that.
So there you are, everyone. And this is the reason why I think Be Connected is going to end up being a very popular platform. No trolls, no spam, that's all good. But when you can make a connection with someone like you, Joe, and that somebody watching this show can go, I'm going to ask him. When he said that, he knows how to have your net worth go up without paying lots of taxes. That, in my opinion, would be a super question to ask you. I am trying to keep the shows to about a half an hour long. And I really do highly recommend that people use the connections and connect with everyone. And Joe's already here, so all you have to do is go look him up, and you can connect. And of course, you can comment on the show because in the replay, it gives you lots of opportunity to do that. And then also, I run my replays out on the Business Innovators Radio Network also. So there's a lot of opportunity, to connect with my guests. So Joe, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to really add, and any words of wisdom?
Wisdom, I'll just tell you what other people pass down to me. You can't do it all by yourself. It's impossible, especially with all the bells and whistles going on now, all the different software, the different ways to do business. You need to connect with people that are a lot smarter than you. And the other thing is you need to have a thick skin. If you don't have tenacity, you should not be in business, because it's not if things are going to go wrong, it's when they go wrong. You just got to be prepared. You got to say, listen, life is not a bowl of cherries. When, when the stuff hits the fan, be ready and just go through it.
That kind of is an ominous warning, but it's good news, because if you just heard that, you know that you found somebody who can actually help you with these financial issues and answer these questions, like, how should I set up my business? How do I do my bookkeeping so it doesn't take 40 hours of all my time? That's why I found someone to do bookkeeping and become my CPA, because it was taking me hours and hours because I didn't know what I was doing. And when I turned it over, all of a sudden I had lots of time. So everyone, make sure you connect with Joe. And Joe, definitely create your own show in the Hive. It's just, I can't say it's easy, but it's not hard. It's just a process that you have to learn. So again, thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I
Everyone,
appreciate it.
this is Tammy Patzer. So make it a beautiful day.
All right, awesome.
Is that your bird?